I wanted to take a little bit of time to go over the concepts of weight of construction. Now, this concept isn't completely new to this iteration of the BCBC. It has been in previous iterations, but there's a little bit more information that's provided now by code writers with the 2024 code edition. And with that information comes a little bit of flexibility, but a little bit more complexity for code users to navigate. It's been a little bit tricky for me to get my head around, so I'm going to try and put a few of my thoughts into words here on the video and show some of the ways that I have developed my understanding of this, so hopefully it's a little bit helpful for others. So on the right hand side of my screen I have the BCBC 2024. We're in section 923 or subsection 923.13, sentence 2, where we start to get introduced to some of the values that are associated with normal weight construction and heavyweight construction. And on the left hand side we just have a simple table reflecting some of the values that are presented in the code. So it's pretty straightforward, copy for copy, but I'll just quickly go through it. We've got normal weight construction of a building where these values shall not exceed 0.5 kPa for the floors, 0.5 for partitions and interior walls, so that carries down here under this column normal, floors and interior partitions, 0.5 for the roof, and 0.4 for the exterior walls, so 0.5 for the roof and 0.4 for the exterior walls. We don't have any direct reference at this point to exterior cladding related to normal weight construction. This, I guess it's a sentence or a clause, I'm not sure. B, for heavyweight construction, the values are increased. So here under this next column for heavyweight construction, we have 1.5 for floors and 0.5 for partitions, 1.5 and 0.5, 1 for the roof, or, and that's an important or, 1.2 for the exterior walls. So it's here. And again, there's no direct reference to exterior cladding with these two references in the code. We do, however, have C and D here, which represent exclusively references to buildings clad with a masonry veneer or a stone veneer. So I've included another row for exterior cladding for these two varieties, or these two options. We've got 1.9 and 3.2 as our maximum values for those two types. Now that's a pretty clear understanding, pretty clear direct representation, and code users can definitely use this information, but there is more granular information in the notes that help us sort of split this out a little bit more to help us understand it, but to help us a bit of guidance so that we can use some of the benefits of leveraging average weight, average dead weight for a story, and potentially reducing or understanding the way that we can calculate lateral bracing requirements a little bit more in depth. So I'm going to jump into the notes here. All right, so here we are in the notes, weight of construction, and I'm going to scoot down to a different table that I've also developed to help make sense of this. So this second table has been built out a little bit more, and it is based on essentially this first table, so this code clause here, but also an understanding of what is encapsulated in this notes section. And so to make a bit more sense of it, I've included another column that I'm referencing as the base frame. So this is going to be the typical light wood frame construction assembly for each of these elements, and it is represented here in the notes, typical light wood frame construction. And we get a little bit of guidance in this first paragraph here as to what the values that we should be assigning to those base frames are, and subsequently what we can assign to other portions as we go along. So I'll just quickly go through it. We've got, for normal weight floor construction, we have a total of 0.5, which I had up here. But we go on to say that that could accommodate light weight finishes not weighing more than 0.25 kPa. So we've got 0.25 for the finishes, we must have 0.25 for the base frame. So that's where I get those two numbers from. And that is going to be, our total is going to be a sum of them. Same for the roof. it is 0.5 and it accommodates light construction materials for the roofing, weighing not more than 0.12. And so I can split that up. Here we have the roof and the roof covering, 0.12, with a total of 0.5. So if we add 0.12 and 0.38 for our base frame, we're going to get 0.5. So that's where I get that base frame value from. And the same thing for exterior walls. So for normal weight wall construction, 0.4 is our total. They can accommodate light construction claddings weighing not more than 0.1 kPa. So that's where we get our 0.1. We have our total of 0.4. So that yields a base frame value of 0.3 kPa for our assembly, our wall assembly. So that's where those numbers have come on. And so using this logic, we can then extrapolate it a bit to understand heavyweight construction as well. And so heavyweight floor construction, which we have here, can accommodate an additional, and that's important, an additional total dead load of 1 kPa. And so that gets us to a total of 1.5, so 0.5 plus 1. But the recognition here is that that 0.1, above that 0.1, this 1.5 would also include some kind of lightweight finish. So the lightweight finish is 0.25, and the plus 1 is our 1.25, sorry. And so to get to our 1.5, we have a floor finish of 1.25 plus our base frame of 0.25. Interior partitions do not change depending on the type of construction, the weight of construction. If they align with the typical Part 9 wood frame construction. When we come to our roof covering here, we have heavyweight roof construction accommodates if the lighter roofing materials are replaced with heavyweight materials, weighing up to 0.65 kPa. And so this 0.65 would be this number. So if this was 0.65, 0.65 plus our base of 0.38 actually yields a total of 1.03. But we have a reference earlier in the code that this can't be more than 1. So I adjust this to 0.62 just to make that math make sense there. It's probably the more conservative way of doing it. I'm not exactly sure why there's a little bit of different arithmetic and logic to that, but that makes sense more so in my mind if this was a 0.62. And then finally, the exterior walls. So the exterior walls here, heavyweight wall construction provisions account for cladding, weighing up to 0.85. So we've split out our base and our 0.85 here. I didn't do it. So if it is 0.85 plus our exterior wall base, we're going to get 1.15. Now, there's this kind of like what happened with this roofing one before. Again, the math isn't quite adding up. We are permitted to have up to 1.2 here as far as the building code is concerned. So I'm going to just going to override that formula to 1.2, but I'm going to leave the values as they're referenced here in the notes. By splitting up and having this exterior cladding line, we get a little bit more understanding of how the claddings affect our normal weight construction, heavyweight construction, and it also makes a little bit more sense conceptually to understand masonry and stone veneer. And so basically masonry and stone veneer are just another example of replacing our normal weight construction cladding materials with something heavier than heavyweight construction. So it's basically, you could call these like heavy 1 and heavy 2 or something like that. They're just additional measures to account for heavier exterior cladding materials. I believe that the assumption here is that these two materials will also be using the same base frame, which is essentially has an allocation of 0.3 kPa to the base assembly, and then we're just adding a heavier cladding material. All right, hopefully that makes it a little bit more simple to understand, having it laid out in a few different tables here. As I said, this one here is based directly on the code information in the body of the code, and this one here is based on this table, but also with the additional information that's provided in the notes. Hopefully that's been helpful. Thanks.